magic in the air. Wands roll around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's so wizards, oh, 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 oh. Life is a spell we know. We're casting joy and glow, oh, oh. That's a wizard show.
Broadcasting live from Site B, located in the mysterious mythical town of Fresno, Nevada. It is your favorite supervillain, the OGGM, continuing his OGGM Defends Wizards of the Coast. Villain arc, villain arc, villain arc, villain arc, villain arc. And today we've got a story from our good friend Professor DM, and we've got a story from our good friend Goth DM Mom. Both involving Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, and choices. So let's go with Professor DM first. Professor DM wants us to know that Wizards of the Coast is winning, and Dungeons and Dragons might be making a comeback. So, according to Jim Cramer, Wizards of the Coast stock right now. If you're not familiar with who Jim Cramer is, apparently he's a stock guy, which means nothing to you, but it means nothing to me. But according to all the people who posted on Professor DM, Jim Cramer talking about a stock is a kiss of death. Sell, sell, sell. Whenever Jim Cramer locks a stock, you short it immediately. Cramer is a death bringer of companies. Blah, blah, blah. So what are they talking about here? Why is Wizards of the Coast winning on the 10th day of September in the year 2025? Well, we're talking, of course, about the money stuff, most specifically the Q2 money releases. Here in September, we're going into the holiday season. We're looking at how much money D&D has made since January. We were looking at how much money D&D has made this time of year to the last time of the year at the exact same time. And we're expecting how much money Wizards of the Coast D&D money is going to make going forward. So let's take a look at the stock. Okay, Hasbro Incorporated closed this morning at $77.36 a share. That's $1.28 down from yesterday and $1.62 from where it was a year ago. Pretty much it spiked at 9 a.m. for some reason. And then now at whatever time it is in New York, 11:30, maybe noon, it's dropping. Wow, dropping dramatically. Like, wow. Yeah, it's like below the bottom line. Like the little red string is trying to find space at the bottom of the page. So I think we can expect some kind of announcement from Hasbro regarding something, considering that huge sell. And then now, wow. All right. So what do we know about D&D money this year? Well, we know that Q2 started with Wizards of the Coast posting a $1.6 billion Hasbro posting a $1.6 billion loss between Q1 and Q2. But they justified that $1.6 billion loss because they had to take into account the tariffs and the shipping and the situation with Diamond. That's still going on. Diamond owes Wizards of the Coast Hasbro $9 million. And that's just one of the 125 different companies that are having to deal with this, including our good friend Stephen Glicker over at Roll for Combat. So posting a loss or a hypothetical loss, okay, fine, whatever. But still, to a stockholder, a shareholder like myself, starting Q2, looking at the monies and going, $1.2 billion loss is not a win. It's not a win. But okay, Professor DM, where is this win come from then? Because we're looking at today's stock, not good. We're looking at the fact that Wizards of the Coast still owes us, Hasbro still owes us our shareholder. As a shareholder, I still have one share. I'm looking going 7, it's down. It's still down. I want to make my money back, not lose money. This all comes from when you look at the Q2, the percentages that D&D Wizards of the Coast made. So Wizards of the Coast made Hasbro a good portion of the money that it made in Q2. You know, I don't want to go into the math stuff without looking at kittens, because if we're going to talk math, we got to look at kittens. So I should probably bring up the kittens, but whatever. But we all know that Wizards of the Coast is pretty much here in the States the main moneymaker for Hasbro, because it doesn't cost Hasbro any money to produce Magic. And it doesn't really cost any money to do the video game stuff. That's already all done. So Magic the Gathering is pretty much continuously posting pure profit. And the digital video stuff is continuously posting pure profit. So Hasbro can say, look, Wizards of the Coast is winning. But what Hasbro is really saying is parts of Wizards of the Coast is winning, because Dungeons and Dragons sales of the Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, DM's Guide, Adventures down. In fact, what was the last thing that came out? Oh yeah, nobody remembers because it did so badly. In fact, it's doing so badly that the next 4 upcoming projects are all fluff, right? We got the Book of Crochet. So they're already saying, we don't think the game's making us money. Oh, wait. They've been saying that since 2020. But this says Wizards of the Coast is up 28% OGGM, so that D&D must be doing well. Well, how do you justify sales being down, but D&D being up? Well, that's because, true believers, sales of the physical product are down. But sales of everything that's digital that Wizards of the Coast does, sales that's everything digital and branded for Dungeons and Dragons. Remember the branding? Remember the selling out the IP in order to justify money, because D&D the game doesn't make Wizards of the Coast any money. Merchandising Dungeons and Dragons is money. So that Dungeons and Dragons is winning is based upon Magic the Gathering money, Wizards of the Coast money, digital video money, video games, anything that is associated and branded with Dungeons and Dragons, blam, money. D&D the beard oil, money. D&D cartoons, whatever. If it's got D&D on it in the last 6 months, that's profit, because it doesn't cost anything to rent out the IP. It doesn't cost anything to make Magic the Gathering. It doesn't cost anything to do anything where they can just go, sure, buy the IP from us, call it Dungeons and Dragons, the breakfast cereal. We'll make money no matter what. So does this mean D&D is coming back because of what Critical Role is doing? Is Critical Role doing Dungeons & Dragons 2026 going to suddenly start new rush of people running to buy D&D 2024? Player's Handbook, DM's Guide, Monster Manual? Probably. But let's check Amazon. Amazon, how much are you selling the Player's Handbook right now? Amazon, do you feel like these? There we go. Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, let's see. Player's Handbook, down $10. Was originally listed at $50, now selling for $40. That doesn't sound like a company that has a lot of faith in the product doing really, really well once Critical Role starts playing Dungeons & Dragons 2024. Heavily modified. So while we will never know the truth of the financial exchange between Critical Role and Wizards of the Coast, it's pretty much, yeah, there was some type of financial exchange. There was some type of, screw you fans, we're taking the money even though we sort of said we weren't. You know, so Yeah. Is it a good time to invest in Wizards of the Coast Hasbro stock? Are we looking at a sudden Hasbro Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons plethora of sales? Well, I'd be foolish to not think that when Critical Role Campaign 4 goes live, there will probably be a bump in sales, probably around Christmas. But will it save Dungeons and Dragons physical from the inevitable 2030 incinerator? I don't think so, which is why so many people are saying sell, 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 and probably why the stock drops so much. So, yeah. Probably not a good thing, but it is all part of the plan. Remember the plan? It's all part of the plan. Remember the plan? The plan where they said, we're going to digitize everything. We're going to take everything onto the interweb. We're going to make video games. We're going to have a digital AI. We want D&D Beyond to be the source. And now we've got John in charge of the franchise. All things run through John, and John's going to run all things down the toilet through D&D Beyond. It's all one franchise, all under one envelope, so we can gobble it up and regurgitate it through the AI, through digital stuff, because the game doesn't make us any money. But licensing the IP of the game to, like, I don't know, Dungeon Masters Guild or Roll20 or whatever, that's money. And we don't want to make any more physical stuff because that's not money. That's us spending money on stuff that we know that's not going to sell. Players' handbooks from last year are already at Ollie's. So yeah, is it a good time to invest in Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro stock, knowing that Critical Role is about to jump on the 2024 Dungeons and Dragons bandwagon, heavily modified? Probably not, considering how low it is, but what do I know? I'm not a stock guy. I'm just an idiot with a box. Speaking of idiots, hey, did you know there was a new box set for the Forgotten Realms coming out? Oh, no. Now, I should warn you, I'm about to show you a picture of a very attractive woman. And I say that as an asexual man. So our good friend Betty Rage had a chance to go to Gen Con and listen to the Wizards of the Coast speech talk about the changes coming to the Forgotten Realms in the next Forgotten Realms book coming out in a few short days. In fact, it's the 17th of this month is the first one, unless Wizards has changed the release dates, which they probably have. So Betty, in her very wholesome, fun, goofy way, took a little umbrage, took a little what the heck fuckery with the upcoming changes to Forgotten Realms history and lore, because as it says in the introduction of this video, they're changing things again. So forget everything you know about the Forgotten Realms 2024. Forget everything you know about the Forgotten Realms 2014. When the new book set comes out, they're going to change stuff. We're going to have new lore. What's some of the new lore, Betty? Well, we can go directly to the horse's mouth, so to speak, and look at Wizards of the Coast, and they can tell us what they're changing. Okay, so as of August 1st, we've got the whole stupid deluxe thing coming out. Now that itself is just shitty. First, are we going to see a physical version of these books, or is it only D&D Beyond? But it does say digital and physical, so maybe. So we're going to have the basic stuff. But then there's the super special ultimate pack where you get all the extra stuff. All the extra classes, all the extra lore, all the extra adventures, the thing with the vampire guy. Because, yeah, we want more of the vampire guy. That's the guy who, with the bear. Yeah. And obviously, this is going to be D&D Beyond exclusive only. So the extra cool classes, the extra cool spells, all the extra cool things will only go to the extra cool kids who are willing to spend the extra money to rent the product on D&D Beyond and continuously support the D&D Beyond membership they have in order so they can continuously access the super special class. But we're getting 8 new subclasses, including the Blade Singer and the Scion and some other ones. We're getting 34 feats and 18 backgrounds, completely new and different. 19 spells, including new circle magic, regional equipment, guidance on divine renown to the worship of the 42 gods, information on 8 factions, overview of 10 famous locales, an atlas of Faerun, digital only. And then in the second book, we'll get 50 plus ready-to-run adventures. Why is Elenia from the X-Men on the cover of the Forgotten Realms? What does she have to do with the Forgotten Realms? That's Magic from the X-Men. Elenia Rasputin, Queen of Limbo. Why is she on the cover? What does that have to do? Are we hinting at an MCU Forgotten Realms crossover? Got the Ripperverse crossing over with Pathfinder. Shout out to Jen and Sylvia Cisco. So why not? So we got 50 ready-to-run adventures. We got 5 detailed setting gazetteers, including Icewood Dale and Baldur's Gate, because we've completely forgotten there's more to the Forgotten Realms than the Sword Coast. 37 monsters and villains, 12 new magic items, regional bastion options, the Lost Land Library of Luchadors. I don't think that's what it says, but that's what I read. Lethchauntos, Lethchauntos. Lost Library of Luchadors. That's what I'm going to call it. And that sounds like a way more fun adventure than whatever you have planned, Forgotten Realms. A Luchador-themed D&D adventure would be freaking awesome. 50 quick play maps. Of course, they're digital. An Atlas of Rome, and of course the digital extra special bonus stuff. And then we have the Ultimate Realms bundle, which will only be available on D&D Beyond, which gives you the Asterion's Book of Hunter, Netheral's Fall, the Secret Third Expansion, the digital map, the digital dice set. What is the point of digital dice? Please, somebody explain to me. Ooh, look at these dice that I can never actually use in real life. I can only use them if I've logged on to D&D Beyond. How dumb. These are themed. They're cinnamon. Doesn't that make me cool? No, it just proves Wizards of the Coast's point that you'll pay for the digital shit when you could have just bought real dice. And then here we explain the things that you can only get if you buy the super special thing. And here we can explain the things you can get if you only buy the map DTT, and then stuff like that. So yeah, changes. Plus, according to Betty, there'll be changes in the history and more. Betty then goes on to a 18-minute talking about the lore changes that have haunted us from the Time of Troubles to the Spell Plague to all the other things. Spell Plague, the Second Sundering, the real controversies, the Sword Coast, the forgetting the other things, the rewriting of the Dro lore, the flattening the cultures, sort of erasing the fact that there's more to the Forgotten Realms than just the Sword Coast, forgetting that there are other aspects to the Forgotten Realms besides Faerun. There are other continents like Mestaka and Karatar, but apparently those are gone, at least temporarily. Or the whole thing that the Forgotten Realms is just part of Earth that we forgot about, which is, of course, what Forgotten Realms originally was. That's why there's so many things in the Forgotten Realms that seem strangely familiar, like people who worships Tyr, or the fact that there is a chunk of ancient Egypt called Mulharand in Faerun, because Ed originally said it was a part of Earth that we forgot about. That was how Elminster and Ed could talk to each other. If you remember the articles in Dragon Magazine. Well, that's all gone. Now, of all the changes that Wizards has made over the years to explain things, I mean, why would they change things when they just changed them? Well, obviously, because there's changes to the rules. There's new stuff that you made might not look the same, act the same, respond the same. We already know that 2014 D&D and 2024 D&D are not compatible. We've seen that in action, because it's a new edition. Crawford said so when Jeannie D interviewed him. So, hey, let's just change lore because we need to be more politically correct. Let's just change lore because we don't want to offend anybody. Let's just change lore because my Aunt Mackenzie says so. And here's another chance for Mackenzie to go, oops, I invented that. Tee-hee, I'm Mackenzie. Because I'm pretty sure Mackenzie is the only person still working there other than this Dan guy. So, yeah. I will say in defense, because that's what I'm here for, to be a supervillain. I will say in defense, the Avatar trilogy, the Time of Troubles, although implemented badly, was brilliant. It was probably the best. We know Paizo copied it recently, and it's been done in other games. I mean, Campaign 3 was basically just sort of a rewrite on the Avatar trilogy. And the Avatar trilogy was Wizards of the Coast, TSR, whoever owned it back then, way of explaining why the new edition didn't look like the old edition. Hey, magic's changed, races have changed, the map has changed, religion has changed, powers have changed, a ton of stuff has changed. There's a new class. How do we explain that? I don't know. Maybe we do this epic story of how all the gods got kicked out of heaven and they had to scramble to get their place back in heaven by gathering these scrolls, but anybody could have become a god during this time, like Midnight becoming the new avatar of Mystra. Brilliant. Implemented poorly, but the idea to use that to explain the transition, and the same with the spell plague, not as good as that. But so, yeah. Now I can't expect that Wizards of the Coast, whatever they're gonna tell with the new Player's Handbook, new Forgotten Realms book coming out in 7 days, is going to do anything that clever. It's probably going to just be more like, nope, it's always been this way because nothing is canon until 2024. But what about 2014 D&D? That's not canon. Nothing before 2024 counts, right? Because it's not a new edition, it's backwards compatible. Well, if it's backwards compatible, why do we need new books? You could have just made it $20 errata. And why do we need a new super special digital only expansion to the Forgotten Realms when we have hundreds and hundreds of articles and maps and product that has been made since Ed first released the Forgotten Realms in the 70s to tell us about it? We don't need a new book. We've got 40 some odd years of information on the Forgotten Realms, hundreds of websites, hundreds of articles, hundreds of videos, hundreds of products. It's the Realms. It is the core iconic D&D setting. Sorry, Greyhawk. Right? Until Exandria, but yeah. Why do we need a new book? Unless, of course, it's not backwards compatible and you need to justify the changes. Now, I know we should be upset at Wizards. How dare you change things again? How dare you retcon stuff again? Except, of course, this is me being a supervillain where I'm going to defend them by saying, what were you expecting? Did you really think, once again, that Wizards of the Coast was just going to wake up and go, you know, everything we said we were going to do? Yeah, we're sorry. We're not going to do that. We know that we're upsetting you fans, that we're eliminating the old school. We're pretty much eliminating the new school. And every choice we make is pretty stupid. So even though we told you the plan since 4th edition, and then again in 2020, and then again on a pretty regular basis over the past 5 years, we've told you the plan. We're not going to do that. We're going to go back to the way things were. We're going to make the D&D you want to see. Isn't that what Dan said when he got the job? We're going to make the D&D you want to see. Dan, nobody wants to see this. If people wanted to see this, it'd be selling better. But I guess they're hoping Critical Role will pull the rug out and people will be like, oh, we forgive you for shitting on us and our beloved hobby because Critical Role's doing 2024 D&D. It's modified, so it's not. Now I'm going to close with this question. And I asked this question last week. Let's assume in some weird corner of the multiverse, you know, we got the room with Dookie, we got the room with Itchy, we got the room with a moose, and we got a room where Wizards of the Coast does all the things people claim they'd want them to do. Would you go off and start playing Dungeons and Dragons again? If today Wizards of the Coast said, we're changing, we're going to go back to the way it was before 5th edition, before 4th edition, we're going to embrace the old school, we're going to stop changing things, we're going to stop kowtowing, we're going to stop listening to Mackenzie, we're going to stop making stupid Jeremy Crawford mistakes, we're going to listen to the fans, we're going to give you the D&D you want. We promise. Look, here's Temple of Elemental Evil again. We're going to do it the same way Goodman Games did it, where we're going to release it in both the original format and the 5e format. We're going to just dump 2024 D&D. 5e is it. And we're going to support it. So it's a bothable, embraceable by you, the old fucks like the OGGM, and the new people. Would you start playing D&D again? Would you go, screw you, basic expert, and your white box? We're going to go back and play D&D. Screw you, Kelsey. We're going to go back and play D&D. Screw you, whoever. We're going to go back and play D&D. Would you start playing again if that's what they said? Or would you go like me? Nah, I'm not going back. I've got all the D&D I need. I've got tons of retro clones. If I want to play level-based D20 Gygaxian D&D, I got that. If I want to play level-based D20 5e adjacent, I got that. If I want to play simple and fast, I got Shadowdark. If I want to play something a little bit more complicated and goofy, I've got, DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classic. If I want to play something a little bit more hardcore, I've got White Box by the Basic Expert. All my D&D needs are met. Why would I go back just because you promised us that everything's going to be the same as it was 10 years ago? Would you want to? Would you want to go back if they stopped doing these unhinged retcons? Would you want to go back if they said, fuck it, we're going to go back to the way things were before 5e? No, that would be 4e. So we're going to go back to the way we ran things before 3.5. Would you say, yes, I now want to play D&D again? Or would you say, I don't need you to make any more stuff? D&D's done. Let it be done. Let us play our 500 retro clones. Let us play just whatever the fuck we want to play, any way we want to play it, because we don't need Mackenzie Dams telling us how wrong we are. You have muddied the waters. D&D for intent and purpose as a role-playing game is just sort of, I don't know, right? I mean, it's a name. It's a name. I don't feel any need to play 2024 D&D unless somebody wanted to buy me all the books, hint, hint. And sure, I do like 5e. So I'm sure if somebody played it, I'd play it, but I don't think I'd ever run it again because I got Castles and Crusades. I got DC-20. I got Dungeon Crawl Classic. I got Tales from the Valiant. I've got all these playtest things that people have sent me over the years. I've got tons of retro clones. I've got games that do D&D better than D&D. Would you go back? So that's the question I'm going to end this with in my supervillain awesomeness. If in some universe, Wizards of the Coast said, no, we're going to go back to the way things were, would you expect them to keep their word, or would you just be waiting for the other shoe to drop because
mischief in the classroom, potions gone astray, flying through the quad, now brighter every day. Laugh till we cry hard, sneaking out at night, cloaks in the moonlight, everything feels right. That's so Wizards, oh, 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 oh.